Disclaimer, this video is packed with bad jokes and outdated references. If you clicked on this expecting to learn something new about the show, well, you took a wrong turn at the algorithm. There are already dozens of videos breaking down every hidden detail of Squid Game. This is just me making bad jokes and having a good time. Enjoy. Alright, welcome to Everything Great About Squid Game, where we celebrate each glorious, traumatizing moment from the global sensation that had us all questioning our love for children's games. And today, we're kicking things off with episode 1, titled Red Light, Green Light, aka, the moment we all realized we'd seriously misjudged this show's vibe. First up, let's meet our protagonist, Song Ji-hun, a guy who somehow manages to be both lovable and one bad life choice away from a get-rich-quick scheme ad. Picture this, it's your classic down-on-his-luck protagonist introduction. He's gambling, he's dodging debt collectors, he's fumbling birthday gifts. Honestly, he's giving more early Adam Sandler energy than a hero's arc. And yet, we're here for it. And, of course, who could forget Ji-hun's smooth move of swiping his own mom's bank card? It's a win, for not making him a saint from the beginning. After his brilliant financial choices land him at a horse race, Ji-hun finally wins big. A rare moment of triumph, right? Wrong. Our boy's immediately introduced to Squid Game rule number 1, if things seem like they're going well, run. Question, who gets his winnings? Spoiler alert, not him. And then we meet the debt collectors, aka the live-action loan shark Avengers. They've got the intimidation factor of a John Wick villain with the financial foresight of Monopoly's Mr. Moneybags. Let's just say, our man Ji-hun does not pass go in this scene. Now, as much as Ji-hun's a financial train wreck, we get a real soft spot moment when he wins his daughter a gift out of a claw machine, proving that maybe, just maybe, his luck isn't always completely terrible. It's kinda heartwarming. Enter Mr. Mysterious, aka, the world's most intense Uno player in a suit. This guy shows up offering Ji-hun cash for playing Dokji, the classic smack the paper game. And honestly, this man's slap game is on another level. Will Smith himself would be impressed. What? I had to say it. And shout out to Ji-hun for having the resilience of a Marvel hero, because this slap montage feels like it's right out of an Avengers training scene. Slap, lose, repeat. But he finally wins a few rounds and gets a card inviting him to the games, which is exactly where things take a turn for the, well, you know. Can we appreciate that when the salesman played by Gong Yoo leaves, he boards a train to Busan? Our guy's now on his way to a sketchy, windowless van full of men in black rejects, and he's putting his life in the hands of a QR code on a business card? Call me old-fashioned, but when your mystery invitation involves a black van, it's time to reevaluate your choices. So he wakes up in this dystopian IKEA showroom, surrounded by 455 strangers who apparently also had nothing better to do. And just when you think, hey, maybe it's a weird team-building retreat, in strolls a masked staff that looks like they borrowed their fashion sense from Daft Punk and PlayStation. Ah yes, the rules. Basically, play 6 games and win a life-changing cash prize, or, you know, die trying. Small details. It's like Survivor, but Jeff Probst is actually a silent masked guy, and immunity challenges are replaced with, well, you'll see. And here we go, the first game, Red Light, Green Light, featuring a giant animatronic doll with dead eyes straight out of a Five Nights at Freddy's fever dream. Players have one goal, cross the finish line. But, there's a catch.
Red light.
The catch? If you mess up, the elimination part is literal. Win for taking childhood games and turning them into a horror scene. And just like that, episode 1 goes from Survivor, childhood games, to Hunger Games, Kindergarten Edition. Because nothing says fun and games like laser-precise sniper rifles. The moment people realize what's at stake, the panic button is hit hard. Chaos erupts, people are screaming, everyone's running, and the doll? She's here like, I said red light. Win for the creepy doll again. And for a serious moment. Player 001's clues start here, and they're easy to miss on a first watch. For example, in the red light, green light game, the scanning doll barely registers his presence, unlike the other players. When he's the first to move forward after the initial shock of the shootings, it seems like his dementia might be at play, but it's more likely he just knows what's coming and isn't fazed. A brilliant win for foreshadowing and character setup. While being serious, visual storytelling is a huge part of what makes Squid Game so memorable. The bright, playful colors of the set design and costumes contrast sharply with the deadly stakes of the games, creating an unsettling atmosphere that captivates viewers. The art direction's choice to evoke a warped childhood nostalgia that's anything but innocent is a visual storytelling win. And then we have Ji-hun, barely sliding across the line in full action hero style, with seconds to spare. It's like the Fast and Furious of children's games, complete with slow-mo, suspense, and one man's questionable survival instincts. Finally, the episode excels at setting up key relationships and dynamics among the ensemble cast. Even in the chaos of the game, we're introduced to major players like Cho Sang-woo, Kang Sae-byok, and Ali. The groundwork is laid for the complex relationships, alliances, and betrayals that make Squid Game so gripping. A win for character introductions and dynamics. And that's the end of episode 1, a total roller coaster that sets us up for everything we love about Squid Game: tension, drama, and enough childhood trauma to make you side-eye every playground you pass. Let's dive into episode 2, aka Hell. Because what better way to describe a game that's scarier than every Train to Busan and Kingdom Zombie combined? Spoiler alert, it's just as brutal, but with 100% more cash prize and fewer flesh eaters. So after that horrifying first round, our players are faced with a decision: stay in the game and risk early retirement, or vote to leave. And our guy Ji-hun? He's torn like a K-drama love triangle, except instead of choosing between the rich CEO or the boy next door, it's life or death, and $45 billion won. The dorm walls are hiding an enormous clue. As players are eliminated, the stacked beds begin to clear, revealing the games painted on the walls. It's subtle but effective, each game is there in plain sight for anyone who notices, underscoring the inevitability of what's to come. Huge win for foreshadowing at its finest. Shout out to Sang-woo here, our resident business school success story. With a single vote, he chooses freedom well, for now. Because if we've learned anything from K-dramas, it's that no one escapes the chaos forever. Just ask anyone in Penthouse. I know the old man was the swing vote. And just like that, they're back in the real world. The masked guards pull up in a shady van, essentially giving them the Itaewon class boot. Because nothing says freedom like waking up on a random street corner with zero explanation. Of course, our man Ji-hun heads to the police station, trying to explain that he just escaped the world's deadliest game. And, naturally, they give him the same look you'd give someone who told you boys over flowers is realistic. Ji-hun, there were masked men and a giant doll with lasers for eyes. Cops, laughing, sure thing, buddy. Honestly, it's classic K-drama clueless authority syndrome. Where's Detective Hwang Shermok from Stranger when you need him? And poor Ji-hun, just left standing there like, did I dream it all? But don't worry, buddy, just like in every Signal and Vagabond plot twist, the truth will come out eventually. This episode digs deep into each player's life outside, making the stakes personal. Ji-hun's desperation becomes so tangible as we watch him struggle to provide for his family. This added context makes his choice to return understandable, adding layers to his character. Win for complex character motivations. Back to reality, where things are rougher than a second lead heartbreak. We've got Deok-soo, whose loan sharks are practically his fan club, Sae-byok, who's hustling to get her family to South Korea. When the players are allowed to return home in episode 2, we learn more about Ali's backstory, which is as compelling as it is heartbreaking. He's a migrant worker from Pakistan, struggling to support his family and facing exploitation from his employer in South Korea. Ali's desperation to provide for his wife and young child, despite working under brutal and unfair conditions, makes his choice to return to the game deeply moving and tragic. And Sang-woo, the corporate guy whose stocks are worth less than the descendants of the Sun OST on iTunes. And then there's Ji-hun, realizing his mom needs surgery he can't afford. It's like every tragic K-drama mom storyline combined. She's sick, he's broke, and we're about to see the world's most extreme medical bill reaction. Speaking of desperate moments, Deoksu's bridge jump is thrilling and gives us a jolt of action. It's pure survival instinct, but also ironic foreshadowing, hinting at his glass bridge challenge down the road. Win for high-stakes action with an ironic twist. We also catch a glimpse of Sae Byok's vulnerability. Her tough exterior cracks as her backstory unfolds, revealing her motivations to secure a better future for her family. It's the kind of character depth that pulls us in. Win for adding heart to a hardened character. Meanwhile, Sang-woo's moral conflict comes to the forefront. The debt and societal pressures bearing down on him create a morally gray character who's just as compelling as he is flawed. Win for showing the weight of expectation and the cost of desperation. Just as everyone's hit rock bottom, they get the call. You know, the one that says, "Hey, remember that nightmare game? Want to do it all over again?" It's the exact level of temptation as "Do you want a season 2?" after a massive K-drama cliffhanger. And just like a good cliffhanger, they can't resist. One by one, our players pile back into that ominous black van like they're reuniting for the I Need Romance reboot no one asked for. And cue the gas masks, because safety is clearly not a priority here. And with that, we're left hanging like a K-drama love confession that gets interrupted by a phone call. Episode 2 closes with a heartbreaking montage of players back in their harsh realities, where each one faces the hardships that led them into the game. Let's move on to Episode 3, aka The Man with the Umbrella, and trust me, it's about to get Mary Poppins dark up in here. Here, we've got our players doing everything but singing a spoonful of sugar, because their next game looks about as sweet as a Breaking Bad season finale. Back in the dormitory, it's reunion time. We meet some new faces, along with familiar ones, including our resident grandpa, Il Nam, who's basically everyone's favorite K-drama ajusi by this point. And once they're all in, it's like Reply 1988 meets The Hunger Games. Nostalgic and deadly. Their chit-chat quickly turns to speculating about what horrors await in round 2. It's like every group of Sky Castle parents, strategizing but with zero power. And speaking of power, can we talk about the masked men? They're rolling up like they'd watched Mr. Sunshine one too many times, total mystery, no smiles. And then we get our first real bonding moment between Ji-hun and Sae Byok. They're basically the unlikely friendship goals of Squid Game, proving that even in life or death situations, you can find someone to complain about things with. And just as they're wondering what twisted game is next, the loudspeaker chimes in. It's like Running Man, if Running Man actually had stakes, beyond embarrassment. Our favorite masked guards are here, looking like they just walked off the set of Money Heist, Korea. And let's be honest, they're here to remind us that Netflix loves a good masked villain in matching jumpsuits, whether it's in Seoul or Spain. The visual design of the guards' hierarchy is genius here, with each shape on their masks, circle, triangle, square, representing different levels of authority. This simple yet effective system makes it easy to understand the power dynamics without a word of explanation. Major win for clever visual storytelling. Episode 3 gives us our first look at player 067's pickpocketing skills, as she secretly stows away a lighter. This setup hints at her resourcefulness and quick thinking, and it adds a layer of suspense as we wonder how she'll use this to her advantage. Win for character development through action. Now, here's the twist, they're told to pick shapes for the next game, but no one knows why. Ji-hun hesitates, doing that classic Friends Ross move of I don't know with a nervous smile, like he's about to make the biggest pivot, decision of his life. So, our guy Ji-hun picks the umbrella. And honestly, it's like watching a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire guess without a lifeline. He doesn't know what he just signed up for, but spoiler, it's a whole lot of stress. And then the game is revealed. It's a Dalgona challenge, where they have to carve their shapes out of a honeycomb candy without breaking it. Cue the Mission Impossible theme, because this might just be the most high-stakes arts and crafts session in TV history. The honeycomb, Dalgona, game is a masterclass in building tension. Each shape adds its own challenge, and the choice to use something as delicate as honeycomb candy is brilliant. The game's suspenseful design forces players to go against the clock, pushing them to the edge, and we can feel every nerve-wracking second. Win for crafting a visually simple yet intense game. Ji Hun's decision to lick the honeycomb is both funny and clever. He turns to an unorthodox solution to save himself, and seeing him approach the game differently adds a refreshing twist. Win for innovative problem-solving. The show's sound design shines in this episode. Every crack, scrape, and tense moment in the honeycomb game is amplified by carefully placed sounds, keeping us on edge. Win for sound that amplifies suspense to the max. Watching everyone try to carve out their shapes is like seeing contestants on Nailed It go through a baking challenge. Except, here, there's no Nicole Byer with a "you tried," just a masked guard with a gun. One poor soul breaks their shape, and it's instant lights out. Now we've officially crossed into Game of Thrones territory, where one wrong move means it's game over. And for everyone else? The pressure's on like they're fighting the Night King with a toothpick. As the clock winds down, it's like the Avengers in the final countdown against Thanos. Everyone's panicking, making those last-second moves, hoping to avoid the ultimate dusting. Ji Hun's there with his umbrella, sweating bullets like he's about to take on the Squid Game boss level. And boom! Ji Hun makes it with seconds to spare. It's the underdog comeback we've all been waiting for, like when Rocky finally lands that punch. And just like that, our guy gets another day to fight for his life. Cue the slow-motion victory walk. The lighting and color grading of the guards' corridors is striking in this episode. The eerie, neon hues and stark shadows give a surreal, almost nightmarish feel that reinforces the dystopian atmosphere. Win for creating an unsettling vibe through lighting alone. This episode also strengthens the social commentary. The honeycomb game reflects the randomness of life's challenges. Just like in society, some people have to face tougher odds for the same reward, highlighting the inequalities and the brutal reality that some face higher stakes than others. Win for weaving in deep themes amid the action. As the survivors head back, they're battered, exhausted, and probably reconsidering every choice that led them here. Just another day in the Squid Game trenches, right? It's the ultimate "thank you" next moment as they prepare for whatever nightmare is next. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. We're soldiering on into episode 4, where friendships are tested, alliances are formed, and things get, well, about as cozy as sharing a room with Voldemort and Sky Castle's YesEO. Let's get into it. Episode 4 kicks off with a focus on alliances and trust, as players realize they need to team up for survival. This is a great thematic shift, adding depth to the story by showing that in this brutal game, alliances can be as valuable as strength. Win for highlighting human connection in dire situations. Enter Deok-soo, who's basically the K-drama version of the classic high school bully from every American teen movie. Imagine Mean Girls' Regina George, but with tattoos and a switchblade. He's got a squad now, and they're out to win, or else. The lighting in the players' quarters deserves praise again. The dim, almost claustrophobic atmosphere builds up the dread, especially during moments of uncertainty and tension. Win for lighting that visually reflects the bleakness of their situation. Meanwhile, Ji Hun's squad is strategizing how to make it through the night without becoming the next Squid Game casualty. With Sang-woo channeling his inner Sherlock, they decide to pull a full-on Home Alone by setting up defenses and staying alert. And suddenly, lights out. The guards have turned off the lights, and it's every man for himself. It's like the Purge, K-drama edition, where your chances of survival come down to reflexes and not sleeping. Those who survive this are officially marathon K-drama binge watchers. And here's an excellent win, Deoksu's ruthless side. His willingness to attack and even eliminate others in the dorms adds an unsettling layer of realism. It's a great moment that shows how desperation can bring out the worst in people. Win for honest and disturbing character exploration. Our squad bands together like the Avengers of Squid Game, pulling off some solid teamwork and quick reflexes. We're talking Goblin and the lonely and great god levels of friendship here, where even the brooding loner has your back. Sae Bayok is basically the Black Widow of the group, silent, deadly, and totally unimpressed by these wannabe tough guys. Sae Bayok's stealthy nature shines in this episode as she spies on the guards. Her calculated approach highlights her survival instincts and cleverness, which sets her apart from others. Win for smart character portrayal. Amidst all the chaos, Ji-hun has a flashback of his mother, and if that doesn't make you feel things, you're probably dead inside. It's a Kung Fu Panda moment of inspiration, family over fear, right? With that memory, he's ready to face whatever the Squid Game throws at him. And finally, the lights turn on, and the chaos ends. It's like when your parents turn on the lights and tell you to stop playing Call of Duty because it's 2 a.m. Everyone's exhausted, shell-shocked, and seriously reconsidering life choices. As the players look around, they realize just how many people didn't make it through the night. The stakes have officially gone from Hunger Games to full-on battle royale. They're all feeling it now, only the strong, lucky, or downright ruthless survive in Squid Game. Before they even have time to recover, the next game is announced. These guards are working harder than your average K-drama villain, scheming to take down the Chable family heir. No rest for the wicked, right? Our heroes are battered, bruised, but somehow still standing. It's like when the main couple finally survives the love triangle in a rom-com, only this time, the stakes are way higher than getting the guy. Ji-hun's squad is ready, even if that means walking into another nightmare. Ji-hun and crew are watching this horror show unfold, and if you thought your job was rough, try watching your, colleagues get hauled off. It's like they're witnessing the Walking Dead cleanup crew, except there's no apocalypse excuse here, just sheer, cold competition. And here it is, the most intense game of tug-of-war you'll ever see. It's not just about strength, it's about strategy, heart, and a serious dose of luck. They're lined up, and it's like watching a cross between Gladiator and that time your gym teacher made you play tug-of-war with way too much enthusiasm. Sangwoo's got a whole playbook ready to go, and we're talking about moves that would make even Haikyuu's volleyball team jealous. He's whipping out physics, balance, and grip techniques like he's teaching a master class. And with that we are done with episode 4, we move on to episode 5. After last episode's all-out, lights-off brawl, we're left with a sight messier than the aftermath of Crash Landing on You's emotional finale. We are back in the tug-of-war game, and everyone's pulling for dear life, with every player's expression somewhere between. Don't let go, and I seriously regret my life choices. This is the Korean drama version of Avengers, Endgame, where every ounce of teamwork counts. And our heroes? They're just hanging on, giving it everything they've got. Right when it looks like they're about to become squid pancakes.
1, 2, 3! Go
Player 001's brilliant plan and Sangwoo's quick thinking kicks in, and they pull off a comeback that would make any sports movie proud. Think Remember the Titans, but way higher stakes and a whole lot more sweat. They're defying gravity, fear, and probably a few laws of physics to stay in the game. Victory! Our squad takes down the opposing team, and the relief on their faces is priceless. It's like winning the lottery, except instead of cash, they've won the chance to keep breathing. After the game, we are back in the players' quarters, where Sae Bayok, the ultimate lone wolf, is back to brooding. She's got that Itaewon class level of stoic coolness going on, brushing off small talk like she's allergic to social interactions. And here comes one of those only in K-dramas moments. The doctor gets caught up in a body harvesting scandal, and we're all collectively horrified and impressed. I mean, who else could manage a side hustle like organ trafficking during Squid Game? This guy's got his grind set to overachiever, in the worst possible way. Player 111, the doctor, and his secret organ harvesting arrangement with the guards adds a fascinating subplot. It's a chilling reminder of the twisted power dynamics within the game. Win for exploring ethical decay in a survival context. This episode's use of color and lighting in the organ harvesting scenes is incredibly effective. The dark, sterile atmosphere of the makeshift operating room contrasts with the game arena's bright colors, visually reinforcing the hidden corruption behind the games. Win for visual storytelling. The VIP's viewing room, though not introduced yet, has subtle foreshadowing here with player 111's involvement. The luxurious yet ominous elements hint that these games are entertainment for a wealthy few. Win for subtly setting up the grander scope of the series. Ji-Hun, bless his heart, shares his food with the elderly player Oh Nam. It's like a real-life Reply 1988 moment, where kindness is the last thing you'd expect, but it's the best thing to see. Ji-Hun's here, proving that even in a place with zero hope, there's still room for compassion. Somebody cue the My Mr. soundtrack. Our crew's plotting like they're in Ocean's 11, but instead of a heist, they're just trying to figure out how not to get, killed. Sang-woo's brain is working overtime, channeling some serious Sherlock Holmes vibes as he tries to keep the squad one step ahead of the game. Sae Byok and Ji-Young's friendship begins to deepen here, adding a refreshing emotional anchor to the intense narrative. Their bond is a subtle yet powerful contrast to the brutality around them. Win for highlighting genuine human connection amid chaos. Ihun's growing sense of empathy shines here, especially when he shares food with player 001. It's a small but significant gesture that reinforces his humanity. Win for a quiet, heartwarming moment that stands out in a ruthless world. The visual parallels continue as the bodies of players are stored in those familiar gift-wrapped coffins, mirroring Ji-Hun's daughter's present box. It's a reminder of the callousness with which players are discarded, like unwanted items. Win for dark symbolism that hits home. Detective Junho's investigation continues to add tension, especially as he explores the underbelly of the games and uncovers more secrets. His stealth and determination make him a refreshing character within the chaos. Win for adding suspense through a side plot with serious stakes. Technical win, the sound design during the organ harvesting scenes is eerily precise, with each squelch and slice adding to the discomfort. It's an unnerving detail that heightens the horror of this hidden operation. Win for sound work that makes the horror visceral. The game's fairness principle takes center stage in this episode. We get insight into how these games are crafted to be fair, giving every player an equal chance. This twisted sense of justice adds depth to the game's moral ambiguity. Win for thought-provoking themes. The psychological toll on the players is increasingly evident, especially as alliances begin to break down. Sang-woo's decisions become increasingly ruthless, foreshadowing his complex moral journey. Win for an honest exploration of desperation's impact on integrity. The writing in this episode balances suspense, drama, and subtle foreshadowing beautifully, weaving each storyline seamlessly. We're getting hints at deeper mysteries without losing the urgency of survival. Win for layered storytelling. And there you have it, everything we loved about Squid Game Part 1. This series brought so much to the table: nail-biting games, powerful character moments, intense social commentary, and visually stunning scenes that had us glued from start to finish. Whether it was Ji-Hun's resilience, Sang-woo's moral struggles, or the sheer thrill of each deadly game, Squid Game proved why it's become a global phenomenon. Thank you for coming along on this journey through one of the most gripping K-dramas out there. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite K-dramas. Drop a comment below with what you loved most about Squid Game, and let us know which drama you'd like to see next. Until then, keep watching, keep loving K-dramas, and I'll see you in Part 2.